In 1999, Fox Kids executives approved 13 episodes where Spider-Man fights werewolves in space. Nobody stopped them. That's the 90s in one sentence. Look, we need to talk about 90s superhero shows. And I don't just mean Batman, the animated series. Everyone knows that one's perfect. I'm talking about the other shows. The ones that had budgets smaller than a school play, animation that looked like PowerPoint slides, and plots that made absolutely no sense. But here's the thing, they were everywhere, and somehow we loved them anyway. In this video, I'm taking you back to Saturday mornings in the 90s. We're talking about the shows that defined a generation, the animation disasters that somehow worked, and the specific moments that are burned into your brain whether you like it or not. And if you spent your childhood defending these shows on the playground, trust me, you're going to feel this one. So grab your cereal bowl, park yourself on the carpet 2 feet from the TV, and let's do this. X-Men, the animated series. Alright, let's start with the big one. The show that made every kid rush home on Saturday mornings. If you were a 90s kid, you remember that opening theme. That guitar riff hits, and suddenly nothing else mattered. You had 22 minutes before your parents made you go outside, and you were not moving from that spot. This show ran for 5 seasons and 76 episodes, and it was ambitious. We're talking the Phoenix Saga, the Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, storylines that were genuinely complex. And here's what's wild. They didn't dumb it down for kids, they just went for it. But let's talk about what made this show so memorable, the animation chaos. Some episodes looked incredible. Time Fugitives had animation that could compete with movies. Then the next week, you'd get an episode where Wolverine's claws were 3 different lengths in the same shot. His hair would change style mid-scene. Cyclops would be 6 feet tall in one frame and 4 feet in the next. And you know why? Because this show was being animated by 4 different studios. AKM in Korea, Graz Entertainment, Philippine Animation Studio, and a place called Hanshin. Different continents, different budgets, different people who'd never met each other. So every Saturday morning was a gamble. You never knew if you were getting movie-quality X-Men or slideshow X-Men. And somehow that made it more exciting. What made the show work despite all that? The voice acting. Cal Dodd as Wolverine was committed. Every line sounded like he was gargling gravel, and we loved it. When he said, "I'm the best there is at what I do," you believed him even when his claws were the wrong color. And those multi-part episodes? Absolute chaos if you missed one. The Phoenix Saga was 5 parts. If you missed episode 3, you showed up to school Monday morning completely lost while your friend explained, "Okay, so there are 2 Jean Greys now, and 1 is cosmic, and it's very complicated." That shared confusion? That was the feature, not the bug. These shows made you need your friends to understand what was happening. Spider-Man, the animated series. Now this was the show that proved Spider-Man could work in animation. Running for 5 seasons and 65 episodes, this was appointment television. First things first, that theme song. If you can't hear it in your head right now, were you even a 90s kid? Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. It's been living in our heads rent-free for 3 decades. Christopher Daniel Barnes voiced Peter Parker, and he was acting. Full Broadway performance. Every quip, every joke, every emotional moment, the man brought it. While other shows had voice actors who sounded like they were reading a phone book for the first time, Barnes made you actually care about Peter Parker. Here's something you probably never noticed. Spider-Man never punches anyone in this entire series. Not once. Watch the whole show. He kicks, he webs people up, he throws cars at them, but he never throws a closed fist punch. Why? Broadcast standards. Someone decided punching was too violent, but kicking someone in the face was totally fine. So all the fight choreography looks like Spider-Man learned capoeira. And the sound mixing? Oh man. Peter would be having a genuine emotional moment about Uncle Ben, and the background music is blasting like someone's playing every instrument at once directly into your ears. Every scene felt like the climax because everything was cranked to maximum volume all the time. The commitment to storytelling, though, unmatched. They adapted the Alien Costume Saga, the Venom arc, and yes, the 6-part multiverse storyline. 6 parts. If you missed episode 3, you spent the next 3 weeks confused about why there were suddenly 5 Spider-Men. And we didn't have DVRS. You either caught it at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday or you were lost. That chaos was the point. The Fantastic Four. Check this out. The Fantastic Four ran for 2 seasons and 26 episodes, and it is rough. This is the show where Reed Richards stretches his arm and it literally changes color mid-stretch. Not because of lighting, it just becomes a different shade of blue because they forgot what color they were using. Watch any episode. Mr. Fantastic is 6 feet tall. Next frame, 4 feet. Next frame, 7 feet. The animation is so inconsistent, it's almost impressive. But you know what? We watched it anyway, because it was the Fantastic Four on TV. It was Ben Grimm saying, "It's clobber time." It was Dr. Doom being evil. It was Saturday morning and this is what we had. The voice acting ranged from actually pretty good to, are they reading this for the first time? But it didn't matter. We were kids. We were just happy to see superheroes on screen. And that opening theme absolutely went harder than it needed to. Iron Man. The Iron Man animated series ran for 2 seasons and 26 episodes, and it had an opening theme that went so hard for absolutely no reason. He's Iron Man, like they're announcing the second coming. Meanwhile, the show itself was about corporate board meetings half the time. But get this, they adapted Armor Wars. That's a genuinely complex comic storyline about technology ethics and personal responsibility. And they did it with animation that sometimes looked like it was drawn in Microsoft Paint. The commitment was real though. They weren't being ironic. They weren't winking at the camera. They believed in what they were doing even when the animation budget was approximately $47. That earnestness, that's what made it work. Spider-Man Unlimited. Okay, deep breath. We need to talk about Spider-Man Unlimited. In 1999, someone at Marvel said, you know what Spider-Man needs? A completely different costume and for him to fight werewolves in space. If you remember this show, you're in an exclusive club. Peter Parker's suit is red and black, wrong colors, weird symbol. And he's not in New York. He's on Counter-Earth, an alternate dimension ruled by a guy literally named the High Evolutionary, where everyone is half human, half animal. Spider-Man fighting crocodile men, dinosaur people, a talking tiger in a business suit named Sir Ram. 13 episodes on Fox Kids, then canceled mid-storyline. No resolution. Peter Parker is still stuck on Counter-Earth somewhere. If you watch this, you have this weird memory nobody believes. Remember when Spider-Man fought furries in space? People look at you like you're insane, but it was real. We were there. This represents everything about 90s superhero cartoons. Someone had a wild idea, executives said yes, and they made 13 episodes before anyone questioned it. That couldn't happen today. Too many checkpoints, too many people protecting the brand. But in 1999, they just went for it. And honestly, that's beautiful. Silver Surfer. Here's a show most people forgot existed. Silver Surfer ran for 1 season and 13 episodes in 1998, and it was trying to be something special. This show wanted to be a philosophical meditation on power and freedom. Every episode opened with the Silver Surfer doing genuine philosophical monologues. To be bound by one's word is noble. To sacrifice for others is the highest calling. Deep stuff, right? Then he'd punch a space dinosaur. They wanted both. They refused to pick a lane. Saturday morning cartoon about a shiny bald man on a surfboard? Sure. But also make it about the nature of existence. And they committed fully. That's the secret ingredient of 90s superhero shows. Earnestness. They believed in what they were doing even when it made no sense. The Incredible Hulk. Not to be confused with the live-action 70s show, the 90s Incredible Hulk animated series ran for 2 seasons and 21 episodes. And it had one job: make Hulk smash things. It succeeded. Every episode, Bruce Banner would get angry, transform, and destroy everything in sight. The animation was hit or miss depending on which studio got the episode, but when Hulk was on screen smashing tanks, that always looked good. That's where the budget went. Batman, the animated series. Now, I said we weren't going to talk about Batman because everyone knows it's perfect, but we need to mention it for one reason. This show set the bar so impossibly high that every other 90s superhero cartoon was trying to reach it with pocket change in a dream. 85 episodes of dark, noir-influenced storytelling. Kevin Conroy is Batman. Mark Hamill is the Joker. The animation was consistent because it was actually supervised properly. Every other show was trying to be this with like $47 and 4 different animation studios who'd never talk to each other. They had the ambition. They didn't have the resources. And that gap, that's what created the magic. That desperate reach for greatness with almost nothing, that's what made the other shows special. Why we'll never get this again? Here's what nobody wants to admit: we're never getting anything like this again. These shows existed at the perfect moment. Before the MCU proved superhero content could be billion-dollar IP. Before every decision went through committees analyzing demographic data. The 90s was the last time you could greenlight Spider-Man fighting werewolves in space just because it seemed cool. That gave creators weird freedom. 5-part Phoenix Saga? Sure. Wolverine fights his own hair? Someone thought it was interesting. Spider-Man goes to Counter-Earth? Why not? That freedom? Gone. Dead. Never coming back. Why they mattered. But here's the thing. These shows mattered. Spider-Man taught us about responsibility. Not because Uncle Ben died, because we watch Peter make that choice every week. Walk away or help every single episode. X-Men taught us about discrimination. When Rogue couldn't touch anyone. When Beast was brilliant but people only saw a monster. That hit different when you were the weird kid at school. So yeah, 90s superhero shows were bad. Inconsistent animation, chaotic sound mixing, baffling choices. But that's exactly why they were great. They were swinging for the fences with a plastic bat. Sometimes they connected, sometimes they struck out spectacularly. But they were always trying. And honestly, I wouldn't trade those janky Saturday morning disasters for anything. That's ours. So which show defined your Saturday mornings? Was it X-Men? Spider-Man? Were you one of the brave souls who watched Spider-Man Unlimited and still remembers Counter-Earth? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see the truly deep cuts, the shows so obscure that most people forgot they existed, subscribe because next week I'm covering the forgotten superhero cartoons of the 90s. We're talking The Tick, Phantom 2040 shows that make Spider-Man Unlimited look normal. Trust me, if you thought Counter-Earth was weird, wait until you see what they did to the Phantom. Anyway, that's all I've got. I'm gonna go watch that Wolverine hair episode again and try to figure out what was in the writer's room water cooler. See you next week. Stay nostalgic.